You're right, Big D. Sometimes less is more. And one voter did write in to remind us of Dolores's ass, and this is a direct quote, Dolores's ass on that motorcycle. Forget brain boners. That gave me a regular. A regular what? I don't know.
I'm going to go with boner.
Hi, folks. This is Louis Herfin, the original Peter Abernathy. Hell is empty and all the devils are here on the Shat on TV Westworld podcast with Roger, Gene, and Big D.
The long wait is over. The night is finally here. An evening 2 years in the making. Coming to you live from the Shat Studios, the 2020 Westie Awards. And without further ado, I present to you your host for tonight's celebration, Gene Lyons.
Welcome back to Shat on TV Westworld, the unofficial podcast companion piece to the hit HBO series, Westworld. Listeners, tonight is a very special night that only comes once per season. It's the third installment of the Shat on TV Westworld Westie Awards, a night where we thank the listeners and honor the finest achievements in Westworld creation. I'm so proud to be your host tonight and share the duties of revealing this year's nominees and winners alongside my two co-hosts, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And Ashley Schlafly.
Hi, y'all.
Dick, Ashley, Roger, and I spent countless hours this season reading your email, chatting with you on Twitch, researching Westworld, recording, editing, and keeping in touch with you on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. But tonight isn't about us. It's about HBO's flagship show, Westworld, and you, the viewers. We want to thank you all for listening through more than 100 episodes of Shat on TV Westworld, subscribing, writing in, calling, and supporting the podcast financially. We hope you'll continue to join us on Twitch, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat the Movies, and check out Shat on TV for TV shows we've done in the past and those we'll do in the future.
Tonight's nominees were handpicked by your Shat on TV hosts and voted on for a week by Shat on TV listeners. Our categories include Best Dress, Best Future Tech, Best Use of Music, Most What the Fuck Moment, Best Villain, and the biggest prize of all, Season MVP. Because covering Season 3 of Westworld was a team effort, we'll be presenting as a team, sharing the honors, and recording in front of a Cannes studio audience. Remember that after this episode, you can write in your thoughts on the Westies and the season for our final telegraph of the season, which will be released Friday, and will include the meanest listener tweets and reviews we've received this year. And now it's time for the third Shat on TV Westworld Westie Awards. Categories tonight were suggested by the Shat on TV host, and nominees were fiercely debated. More than 3,000 individual votes have been cast, and results have been tabulated by Listwhack and Listwhack cyber rights lawyers. Our first category of the night is the best of the Dolori. In Crisis Theory, we learned that all hosts were Dolores at their core. But a few of this season's characters were literal copies of Dolores she used to carry out her plan for global change. It was the biggest mystery of Season 3, but which copy was best? And the nominees are Musashi, or Sato. Dolores strategically placed this version of herself within the Yakuza to retain a presence in Asia and create a massive supply of host fluid. Placing a Dolores Pearl in a Musashi host body had the added benefit of psychological warfare, as Maeve was forced to face off with the Shogun world equivalent of Hector. This was the second time Maeve and Musashi had met in conflict, and it ended far less amicably. Martin Connells. Tommy Flanagan was an exciting new addition to the Westworld cast and arguably a highlight of Season 3. Who didn't love seeing a Dolores-driven Martin Connells school spoiled Liam Dempsey Jr. for his playboy ways? Connells was cunning, merciless, duty-bound, and had a charming menace we'll miss. Charlotte Hale. Charlotte, Charloris, Chardloris, Obi-Wan Kenobi, call her what you will. This version of Dolores didn't just deviate from her maker, she turned directly against Dolores Prime. Dolores gave us the best action sequences of Westworld Season 3 while demonstrating a dynamic range from loving mother to frightened operative to vengeful banshee. Also, she's really hard to kill. Dolores Prime. Sometimes you can't improve on the original. This is the Dolores we watch suffer for a lifetime, navigate the maze, find her strength, and break Delos' chains. She was our Buffy, our Daenerys, our Veronica Mars. Anyway, the single host, the first to actually work correctly, changed the world with nothing more than a dream, an impressive kill streak, a few copies of herself, and of course, all of Jerry's and Liam's money. And finally, Lawrence. He was the final Dolores, right? But he wasn't in Berlin, right? He was just cruising with the cops and stopped by to say, "Hi, here's the Sublime for you." Did we miss something? And the winner is... with 43% of the vote, Dolores Prime. Now, we had a couple of other votes come in here. Charlotte Hale was a pretty close second with 36%, and Martin Connells followed, with Lawrence kind of rounding out the category here with only 3%. And we also had some write-ins. So, guys, basically what people wrote in to add to our nominations were, should have stayed a Cadbury egg, and wasn't the last brain ball the one Caleb put into Beta Dolores?
So if people are curious about what the hell that last one meant, I had to think about it for a second. And apparently whoever wrote that in missed the part where Dolores' pearl was missing at the Solomon site because Caleb took it. But anyway, I don't think there's any denying that Dolores Prime was the MVP of this season.
No, I don't think there was any other option. And I mean, that scene was so quick because you had to see the little puddle of blood. So if you turned to talk to your spouse, had a drink, you would have missed it.
They showed the big hole in the back of her head. It wasn't just a puddle of blood.
Right, but you could have looked away. Say you sneezed. Achoo. You closed your eyes, it's gone. You don't know what happened.
Well, congratulations to Dolores Prime on your win. And congratulations to all the Dolori. The next category is Best Dressed. Season 3 wasn't the best season of Westworld, but many would argue it was the best dressed. Our favorite characters were released from their 19th century uniforms and free to choose from a wide variety of all-black outfits of the future. We noted our favorites. And the nominees are Dolores' gold transformation dress. Dolores cast away her powder blue prairie dress in favor of jet black leather and trousers this season. But when the time came to get dolled up, the original host showed impeccable taste. The biggest gasp of the season might have come when she instantly converted her smart little black dress to a golden gown with a tug and swish that lit up the neo-Los Angeles night. We still get chills thinking about it. Sirach's white t-shirt and white suit. When you want your look to say, could be the architect of humanity's destiny, could be a French Coke dealer, look no further than Sirach's white-on-white all-night suit and t-shirt combo. It makes normal action seem menacing and menacing action seem perverse. If the idea was to make Vincent Cassel look as foreign and strange as possible, mission accomplished. Maeve's single-strap white dress. Maeve's the good guy this season. Get it? She's got a white dress. Get it? Maeve's dramatic change in apparel this season signaled a rebirth in a new world and the end of her days as a madam. Or Sirach is just really obsessed with making everyone look like they stepped off the set of a 21st century Scarface remake. Giggles' light up mood shirt. If we could sell one item from Westworld Season 3 in the Shat on TV shop, it would be Giggles' trademark light up mood shirt. Social media, wearable tech, graphic tees, and an undying need for human self-expression with minimal effort make this piece of apparel an inevitable part of our collective futures. Bernard's auction tuxedo. What in the actual hell is going on here? The idea of wearing a disguise while infiltrating an orgy is to be discreet. Bernard's black mask and protruding beard made him look like the illegitimate result of a menage a trois between Batman, James Harden, and the Phantom of the Opera. Good call on the necktie instead of a bow tie, though. Bernard has another nomination with Bernard's hipster meatpacking overalls and burly beard. Perhaps you prefer your Bernard a little more rustic, a little less refined. Meatpacking overalls and a burly beard showed us a different side to the normally professorial Bernard. Armand Delgado's shaved head and sweat-stained clothes were enough to make any cow quiver with fear and any cowgirl weak with lust. Liam Dempsey Jr.'s basic t-shirt. Sometimes less is more. Being labeled basic is the 2052 equivalent of being socially tarred and feathered. This simple apparel swap took Liam from looking like a billionaire ready to present a TED Talk to an entitled slob who lacked the physique or character to make a mark on Season 3's events. And finally, The Matrix, Black Leather, Maeve, and Dolores. Are duos allowed in the contest? This one is. Maeve's black leather obi projected power and flexibility as the horizontal stripes paid subtle homage to her patron AI, Rehoboam. Some viewers also noticed touches of red, a poetic remembrance of Hector Escaton's bandit jacket in Westworld Season 1. Dolores, on the other hand, favored the more urban look of geometrically quilted leather that added an angularity and strength to her features, while making it clear she favored Solomon's worldview. And the winner is... with 44% of the vote, once again, it's Dolores with her gold transformation dress. Now, this one wasn't even close. Giggles did come in second with his light-up mood shirt, and then it was a steep drop for everything else, including Maeve, Armand Delgado, Sirac Bernard, and Liam. Now, we did miss a golden opportunity here, no pun intended, by not mentioning Charloris's outfit, which came up big in the write-in votes. People were very fond of Charloris's open-sleeve pantsuit, Charlotte's light suit, Charloris's pink cape suit, Charlotte's tactical cape jacket, Charloris's business battle chic, Charlotte's sleeveless jacket and gold suit, and Holoris's cape suit.
No, see, here's my problem. Dolores is trying too hard with that gold dress. It's like, hey, look at me. I'm going to make an entrance. You know, even Maeve, she's attractive. You need somebody who's going to make a statement. They're going to make a bold transition into this new brave world. And Armand Delgado, that hipster meatpacking outfit, that shit was, that was derelict. That was a step ahead of everybody else. And it was a bold move for him to make. And I like my Bernards. I like them like a bear. That's how I like them.
You're right, Big D. Sometimes less is more. And one voter did write in to remind us of Dolores's ass, and this is a direct quote, Dolores's ass on that motorcycle. Forget brain boners. That gave me a regular. A regular what? I don't know.
I'm going to go with boner. I'm probably going to assume it's boner there. And I get it. I think she looks amazing. Although I have to say, I'm really bummed more people didn't vote for Sirac here. I feel like with 2% of the vote that maybe I'm one of maybe 2 or 3 people who voted for Sirac. But I thought he had some of by far the best fashion of the season.
Other write-ins included Tubbs' drinking shirt, Maeve and Hector in War World, and Bernard's suspenders.
Yeah, Stubbs is it was like, I think, aerial tours of the stars' homes. That was a good shirt. That was a good one.
Yeah, and I can't believe we missed War World. Whoever wrote that in, thank you, because the costuming there was pretty great. All right, so our next category is Most Shocking Reveal. While Westworld was decidedly less of a mystery this season, there were still enough shocking reveals to go around and satisfy viewers. Whether we were surprised by who the pearls turned out to be or left scratching our heads at Host Anatomy, the reveals given to us by Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan add to the list of great moments from the series as a whole. And the nominees are: Host pearls are soft and gooey. Pearls have housed our host brains for 3 seasons now, but who would have thought that inside those chunky metal exteriors was a bunch of black goo? Finding out our hosts had uber expensive gushers in their heads made us all stop and say, This reveal also began the debate on whether a host's pearl's destruction is the true death for their kind, and it made the ultimate motivation for Maeve to get her revenge. Dolores made copies. The debate over who was in the pearls removed from the park occupied many a Reddit thread throughout the 2-year wait for season 3. Even we had our own ideas, but it turns out all that theorizing was for naught. Instead of 5 hosts, Dolores made 5 bodies and filled them with the only person she could trust, herself. This reveal gave birth to the Dolori and changed the possibilities for the rest of the season. William becomes a white hat. William had a rough season. He lost his company, he got committed, he had to murder the many versions of himself that came before, and he was forced to accompany our ragtag duo of bubs for the latter part of the season. Still, even with these challenges, William declared himself a white hat yet again, deciding to kill the host and, as he put it, save the fucking world. Sirac is real. An early debate this season was whether the creator of Rehoboam was AI himself. From those simulations to the hologram versions, we went back and forth over whether Sirach was human, host, or otherwise. In the end, though, he turned out to be just another man with the whisper of an AI in his ear. Whether Sirach is coming back will be the new debate to keep us occupied until season 4. Caleb is human. When we first met Caleb, he woke up in the same way of the hosts we've seen before. Thus, the internet went all aflutter with questions as to whether or not this meant he was human or not. After 8 episodes, we discovered, though, that Caleb is not only human, he's mankind's savior, the John Connor of Westworld, if you will. He has been chosen to lead, selected to save, and with Maeve by his side, dedicated to rebuilding the world he just helped burn down. Caleb killed Francis. Hosts have cornerstones, memories that define their loops and keep them on a path designated by their makers. We found out that humans in the real world are much the same. Outliers like Caleb are given memories to help determine where they will go and how they will act. Francis's death was that cornerstone for Caleb. We spent much of the season trying to decide how Francis died, and once the truth was revealed, though, it turned out that one of his greatest tragedies was one of his own making, with Caleb pulling the trigger that ended his best friend's life. And the winner is... With 40% of the vote, Dolores made copies of herself. This was another one that wasn't really that close. With the closest one to this, guys, was 29%, where the host pearls are soft and gooey, and the others kind of just trickle down kind of after that. But we had a ton of write-ins for this particular category. We apparently left out a lot of stuff for most shocking reveal, and our listeners helped us fill it in. And these are some of the examples. Stubbs is a can opener. Charred Loris becoming Palpatine in episode 8. Dolores honeypot for Liam involved about 20 deaths and almost her own. Caleb is the chosen one because that one time Dolores wasn't raped. Then I ended up not really feeling anything at all this season. Host Man in Black. Bernard has key. Bernard waking up post-apocalypse. Cadbury eggs. And data from service members was recorded at Westworld.
Now, guys, I admittedly had to look up honeypot because I was like, I don't know if this is a sexual reference. And apparently, honeypot has lots of meanings, but one of the meanings is when you use sexuality in espionage and spying.
Is it like a honey trap? Like, what is the honey? Is the honeypot the vagina? What is the honeypot? It is the vagina.
Yeah, I mean, of course it's the vagina, but yeah, you get your hand trapped in the honeypot, right? You get trapped there, and inside there's bees, which I think says a lot about.
That's a big old honey trap,
right? Exactly. I mean, I do agree here though that is kind of a shocking reveal that she seduced Liam for what? I don't think we still kind of have an answer for that, other than money.
Old hosts, the ones that are mechanical. There's no flesh. There's no vagina in that. What do you
think they put there?
No, that was in the milky ones, I think, had vaginas. But the skeletal suit?
I'm sorry, did you just say the milky ones have vaginas?
Yes, the white one. You know, the ones that are filled with fluid. The ones that are the newer versions.
You're just getting worse.
Big D, all versions of hosts had vaginas.
We didn't see that.
We didn't see any of them.
Do you think he's just putting it in some like metal trap?
I did not see. Maybe there was a fleshlight in that box when Caleb was putting the skin on her. I was wondering. I'm sorry I asked those questions.
All right, moving on to our next category, the best future tech. Neo Los Angeles and other global destinations introduced us to a Westworld we'd never seen in detail, and HBO pulled out all the stops on special effects and set design to make 2052 feel very real. These nominees embody our favorite depictions of future technology. And the first nominee is the Rico app. Get money, motherfucker. Using Tinder for hookups seems so 2020 when you could be using Rico for mayhem and moolah. Rico's user interface and attitude took a few seconds of screen time and turned it into an underground culture viewers immediately understood. Who wouldn't want video game style jobs dished out by masked bikini babes listening to Death Grips? Sign us up. Self-parking attack motorcycle. I love few things more than motorcycles. And you know what's better than a motorcycle? A self-driving electric motorcycle that can deliver a payload to the soft underbelly of an attacking SUV. Dolores' self-parking attack motorcycle was minimalist, gorgeous, and realistic. Watching Westworld's slick vision of future bikes zipping through the near-empty streets at night made us all want to throw on our Dolores heels and jet black helmets for a ride through the thoughtfully crafted Neo-Los Angeles. Bulletproof autonomous Uber ride service. If self-parking attack motorcycles are the swords of future transportation, bulletproof autonomous Uber ride services are the shield. Why are the taxis of 2052 built so damn tough? I say future automobiles being impact-proof makes sense, considering cars get safer every year, but Big D still wonders why the plastic panels are so easy to just pop off. Self-aiming guns. Okay, having a drone-assisted 50 caliber sniper rifle would be handy, but a self-targeting submachine gun? Why? Just why? You have a lethal weapon that's literally point and shoot strapped to your arm and you want to automate it? What could possibly go wrong? Genre. Move over mushrooms. Westworld's designer drugs show that our current party favors have lots of room to improve. Genre is so good it got its own episode. A hallucinogen that brings on a sense of euphoria while shifting the user through 5 different film genres set to an amazing soundtrack? Yes, please. Plus, you apparently can gun down henchmen and escape while high as fuck. Bonus. AR therapy. Who needs the power of imagination when augmented reality therapy can take you right back to the moments that scarred you for life? As a general rule, any therapeutic aid that involves straps probably isn't going to be a good time. Considering Caleb and William are 2 products of AR therapy, its track record isn't fantastic. AR contact lenses. When Google introduced us to Google Glass, the world scoffed. Who wants the entire internet in the blink of an eye? Data overlays of the world around them and full-time video capture of life's events when it's going to look dorky as hell. If only Larry and Sergey had the foresight to pack the technology into handy contact lenses, you might be looking at an entirely different world. Only downside with the AR contact lenses, uncontrollable visits from the ghosts of Charlora's past. Riot control robots. Delos seemed to think of everything with its riot control robot design. They're portable, stackable, durable, and brightly painted so you don't misplace them. They also proved hugely useful in the season finale, dispersing a mob that probably could have been cleared out with a few cans of normal tear gas. And if you're ever trapped in a hallway with multiple assailants, you can summon your Delos riot robot to go full Kool-Aid Man on their asses. Drips and limbics. Drugs are expensive, hard to synthesize, inconsistent in potency, and limited in their effects. Who wouldn't want an implant that could control emotion, behavior, motivation, long-term memory, and a slew of biological levers? Westworld showed us why people would want drip implants and why you might want yours shut off. That's good sci-fi right there. And the final nominee is holographic projectors. New Zoom, who dis? Imagine working from home with your boss pacing through your bedroom. Okay, maybe that doesn't sound great, but think about how much more effectively you can intimidate opponents of your rigid, computerized, authoritarian world order. And the winner is... with 17.57% of the vote, AR contact lenses squeaked through. Now, you might be wondering what came through as second place by a razor-thin margin, and it's genre, which I would argue is much better than AR contact lenses.
Oh, yes.
This was the closest race of all the categories, with Drips and Limbics coming in at 16% and the Rico app coming in at 9.8%, right over self-parking attack motorcycle and bulletproof autonomous Uber ride service. All these were within a few votes of each other, so tough choice.
So I got a question for both of you. I'm not even going to give you the option here. You have to use the Rico app, okay? You have to actually schedule a crime. What crime you going to request? I got this asshole who lives in my housing community, and he owns some kind of marble company where he does countertops and shit. But he parks his truck on the road with the little hand cart that leans out. Every day you have to kind of drive by it real slow. I would have somebody steal that car, set it on fire, and make it disappear.
I mean, I got a few people I wouldn't mind disappearing.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to disappear somebody as much as if I could use the app to destroy an aspect of their life. I mean, I posted on Twitter today that I had, you talked about that rage that just simmers inside me, Big D.
Mm-hmm.
I had an encounter today with some dickwad who messaged me, DM'd me on Twitter and asking if I could teach his girlfriend to have an eating disorder like I have so she'd stop being so fat while she was pregnant. And that was a real fun conversation that I had. And I posted pictures of me pregnant to prove that I was really big pregnant too, because all women are big when they're pregnant. So I would love to ruin an aspect of that dude's life.
Yeah, so that's what Rico was made for.
Yeah, make money, motherfuckers. Kill this dude. Not really kill him, like kill his reputation.
What about just cutting his dick off so he couldn't get anybody pregnant?
Well, I think you'd have to find it first. I'm quite sure this dude's got a pretty small dick.
You could hire somebody to him.
Jesus Christ. No, I mean like humiliate him. Like, I don't know, something good. Maybe I'll just get the king bee on him.
So now that Big D is deciding to go blue, I think we should look into some of the dark write-ins that we had. One of them was just make your family go to sleep forever.
What does that mean?
I think it was a reference to Sirac freezing Jean-Mi.
Oh, I was thinking like Charlotte's family went to sleep forever because they're dead.
Hold on. So Ashley, if you could pause your children, like for let's just say a day.
Yeah.
You put them to bed and you put 24 hours. Next day, you get a day off. Would you do it?
No. I miss my kids after like 6 hours.
Okay, so you just set them for 6 hours and you're good.
Well, that's why I send them to school. But would you pause Emma?
This afternoon, I might have for a couple hours.
But June, would you pause June?
I mean, June pauses herself. She sleeps like 18 hours a day, so I don't really have to worry about it. She's the laziest dog I've ever seen. We did miss one nominee, which is kind of embarrassing, and I'm glad it was written in by one astute listener, which is Rehoboam. Basically, the future tech of having an AI supercomputer that could predict and shape the course of mankind.
I guess I just feel like we already have versions of that, right? Like, I mean, this is just a bigger version. But yeah, I mean, he and Solomon, if you put them, you talked about duos. I think that's a duo for sure.
All right, now it's time for the action. The next category is Best Action Sequence. No more 6 shooters and lassos. Westworld Season 3 made full use of high-tech weaponry and exciting new environments for elaborate action sequences. These were our favorites. And the first nominee is Dolores versus Connell's crew. Dolores showed she's no damsel as she escaped an entire hit squad with speed, ruthlessness, and pizzazz. This scene showed Dolores utilizing all her advantages over human adversaries: bullet resistance, machine control, and brute strength. It set the standard for all Season 3 fight scenes. The genre car chase: self-guided rockets, automatic fire, an exploding motorcycle, party drugs, even a touch of romance. What more do you want from an action sequence? We also were reunited with Giggles and Ash, saw Caleb's romantic side, and were introduced to bulletproof Ubers. Maeve versus Musashi sword fight. Maeve showcased her talents in Mother of Exiles by infiltrating a Yakuza distillery using Bluetooth key panel hacking, redirecting auto-aiming guns, and slashing through anything else that stood in her way. But she met her match as Sato Musashi Dolores bested her in swordplay. From a combat choreography standpoint, this fight was impressive. Dolores Prime versus Maeve. Dolores Prime and Maeve faced off more than once this season. The first fight, involving a quadcopter gunship and drone-guided sniper rifle at the Sonora, Mexico Insight facility, ended in a draw. Dolores lost her arm. Maeve failed in her mission. The rematch on the streets of Los Angeles was much more exciting and ended in a decisive win for Dolores Prime, who showed mercy Danny Russo style before her AR contacts went haywire. Charlotte's escape from Delos. Tessa Thompson might have learned a thing or two playing Valkyrie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Her hand-to-hand skills and gunplay kicked the action up a notch as Charlotte fought her way out of Delos headquarters. And summoning the Riot robot, we were all dying to see one in action. Genius. Maeve versus the Nazis in Warworld. Fans of The Matrix and haters of Nazis no doubt love this scene. Defeated by Musashi and awaiting a new body, Maeve honed her skills against evil fascists in the Warworld simulation. Bones were breaking, bullets were flying, eyes were being stabbed. Fun. And the final nominee is Dolores versus Stubbs at the auction. Ashley Schlafly was fond of this action sequence until we all ruined it for her. The key to fight choreography is to hide the choreography, but we could practically see the marks on the set and hear Evan Rachel Wood and Luke Hemsworth coordinating each move. Okay, now grab my neck here. Now I'm going to jump over the balcony. Set it to a strings-only version of Wicked Games, and you've got yourself a fight scene that's unlike anything we'd seen before. And the winner is With 31% of the vote, Charlotte's escape from Delos. I mean, guys, I don't even think this one was any competition.
No, it's not. There was no other option. This is best action sequence. That was the only one that we all got pumped up for. When the riot robot comes together, busts out the wall, that shit was great. It was a great scene.
Yeah, Charlotte wrapping the dude's arm in her jacket, using it as a weapon, and then she was doing like that Michael Jackson Thriller walk out of Delos with her arm and leg all fucked up, which miraculously fixed itself after she got flipped in a exploding SUV.
But it even started in the elevator, where she gets in and the guard's behind her. And the guard gets a little earpiece and start hearing, and John Wick Matrix comes out and they get to fight in the elevator. Shit was good.
Now, we did have write-in votes for William beating the shit out of his younger self.
I think you needed to have the William virtual, like the therapy session. We should have seen that. I understand why they didn't do it, because somebody would have to put the boy down. Young William, somebody had to put that kid down with a chair, but I would have liked to see that scene.
Well, especially like at least he and White Hat William, at least he and Jimmy Simpson. It would have been nice to have seen them have a really nice extended fight sequence instead of just kind of him already being on the floor being beaten with a fucking metal chair.
I bet you that little boy would have run away. Be chasing him around the room with the fucking chair. Fucking throws it at him, cleaves the leg out.
So dark.
It's been a long day. It's been a long day.
And that brings us to our next category, the most what the fuck moment. Every Westworld season brings its own what the fuck moments to the screen, but season 3 perfected the art. These were the scenes that led many fans to scratch their heads, write to Shat on TV, or just throw their hands up and scream, "It's gotta be a simulation." The first nominee is the Game of Thrones cameo. Talk about decisions that don't age well. Game of Thrones' disastrous season 8 already had aired when filming began on Westworld season 3. Why didn't anyone stand up and say, hey, David, DB, we decided to scrap the whole Westeros world dragon scene. With the bizarre Game of Thrones cameo, thousands of Westworld viewers were forced to relive the pain of watching TV's most powerful franchise crumble to ash. Messy marksmanship. Why were the hosts the only characters capable of hitting anything this season? We had guys with regular guns, guys with self-aiming guns, flying gunships, and even a drone-guided sniper rifle, but hosts largely emerged from shootouts unscathed. Who needs cover when you've got plot armor? Hector's death. For an entire season, we've thought host pearls were like high-tech Benoit balls. Turns out they're more like gushers. Instead of watching Hector's consciousness crushed into a fine sand, we watched as Charloris turned Maeve's lover into goo. That, combined with Hector's limited season 3 screen time, made his death anticlimactic and numbing. Stubbs' perfectly timed elevator arrival. How did Stubbs know where to be and when? Where was he coming from? Did he really have to drop a line before attacking Connells? We'll never know the answers to any of these questions, so we accept that things sometimes happen. Doesn't make it any less weird. William's WWE therapy session. William facing his past was an inevitable Westworld moment, but the method for showing it on screen made Westworld veterans sit up and ask, what the fuck? It was parts Royal Rumble, parts Multiplicity, and a pinch of Fight Club for good measure. Ashley was confused by the unrealistic portrayal of therapy. Gene was confused by the comedic treatment of the subject. Big D was just upset we didn't get to see a child killed on screen. And the final nominee, Charlotte surviving the car bomb. So Maeve was undone by a gut stab. Angela was finished off with a grenade. Bernard was killed with a gunshot to the head. But Charlotte is blown up by a car bomb that flips over her SUV, and she crawls away, stands up, and escapes to fight another day? What the fuck? And the winner is, with 28% of the vote, it's the Game of Thrones cameo. It's amazing how something that lasted a couple seconds could really leave an impression on an entire season. William's WWE therapy session, I think, was meant to catch our attention and have people talking. I don't know if the Game of Thrones cameo is supposed to have that impact.
This is the only what the fuck moment. This is product placement. I would be as shocked as if they cut to some of the lab techs and they were sitting there eating Taco Bell. And they're like, hey, what do you think, Sylvester? I love the new $5 chalupa box. It's really great. He bites into it and it cuts to a fucking bell going ding. fucking feed the craving or whatever. It was a product placement for a show that made people angry like me.
Watching Game of Thrones, when they did that Ed Sheeran cameo, I was like, this is a new low for HBO. And then they did this.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was going to say. You would think that they would have learned from the experience and the backlash. I mean, Ed Sheeran had to get rid of his Twitter account. The backlash was so strong from him being in that one episode. And so you would have thought they would have learned, but they didn't. And it wasn't cute. And we have to remember, it wasn't just D&D and the dragon. There also was that weird little minstrel that was playing the Westworld theme. I mean, the whole thing just dripped with gross cheese.
Now, some of the write-ins for most What the Fuck Moment included Lawrence, the whole character arc of Bernard and Maeve this season, minimal safety around Solomon, that was a big what the fuck for me, and of course, no traffic in LA. And now for my favorite category, best use of music. Westworld's crowning achievement this season might have been its masterful use of music. Originals and covers by Ramin Djawadi brought new dimensions to critical scenes, while hits from the modern pop and underground jukeboxes gave the world context. Here are some powerful examples. The first is The Weeknd's Wicked Games instrumental cover. The Weeknd released Wicked Games in 2011. It was sensual, gritty, nostalgic, and introduced us to an exciting new voice. All those characters made it a smart choice for Ramin Djawadi to reintroduce it as a string instrumental score for the auction scene in The Mother of Exiles. We were seeing a charity sex auction that borrowed heavily from Eyes Wide Shut, and the music beautifully conveyed the mix of futuristic norms and regressive human trafficking. Whether it was the right soundtrack for a fight scene between Dolores and Stubbs, that's up to you. Pulp, Common People. My favorite Britpop song by my favorite band, Pulp's Common People is part celebration of mediocrity and part working class anthem. Rarely does a TV show pair exciting action with thematically relevant sound and lyrics at this level. It was potentially the most triumphant moment in season 3. Death Grips, Bubbles Buried in the Jungle. Rico and the criminal underworld of Neo Los Angeles needed its own distinct sound, and Death Grips is just what the doctor ordered. Clashing beats, distorted vocals, naked aggression, and music for a new era make Bubbles Buried in the Jungle a natural choice for Ash, Giggles, and Caleb's operations. Iggy Pop, Nightclubbing. Iggy Pop's Nightclubbing provided the thumping beat for Caleb's genre trip in the subway system. It also happens to be in the movie Trainspotting, which has some interesting connections to Westworld. For one, Peter Mullan, who plays Daddy Delos in Westworld Season 2, is Ewan McGregor's heroin dealer in the movie. But more significantly, we get that famous Trainspotting speech from Ewan McGregor's character Renton about choosing a job, choosing a career, and choosing a family. The next nominee is David Bowie's Space Oddity. The classic rock string quartet brought new life to a song we've all heard countless times. Close your eyes and you can still see that scene from Genre. The digital koi pond on the ceiling as Caleb emerges from the subway and things feeling pretty psychedelic. Of course, we were meant to think of 2001: A Space Odyssey, but in 2013, Space Oddity was featured in a little Ben Stiller movie called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which basically is a love letter to David Bowie, packaged in a pre-World War II short story about a guy leaving his mundane life behind to find adventure. Perhaps this song was meant to illustrate Caleb stepping into a new adventure and breaking free. Fisher Spooner's Emerge. How pumped were you at the end of Season 3, Episode 5? Dolores and Caleb pulled off the toughest part of her plan, Sirach's world was in disarray, and suddenly there's this dance classic from Fisher Spooner paving the way to the next 3 episodes. This song was the first song on Fisher Spooner's debut album, which is a fitting tribute to the start of something new. Sevdaliza, Human. Finally, a deep cut. Before Caleb was a past pawn, he was doing odd jobs at the behest of Rico. And one of those jobs was retrieving a guy who'd lost his marbles on designer drugs at a warehouse party. And the trip-hop track in the background was Human by Iranian singer-songwriter Sevdaliza. Massive Attack's Dissolved Girl. Massive Attack seemed to be writing songs about Westworld 18 years before Westworld debuted. Every Massive Attack track is eerily dusty, yet clearly electronic, and Dissolved Girl adds an element of pain and longing to the mix. Shifting to a piano cover, Djawadi was able to filter Dissolved Girl through the sanitized elitist prism of Insight's New World Order. And finally, from the season finale, Pink Floyd's Brain Damage. Fight Club had its Pixies moment as the world crumbled around the narrator and Marla. Not too proud to borrow, Westworld went with Maeve and Caleb watching Neo Los Angeles burn to Pink Floyd's Brain Damage. Remember, this track also was in the first season 3 trailer, helping the story come full circle. It's a good night, not a goodbye. And the winner for Best Use of Music goes to David Bowie's Space Oddity with 23% of the vote. Now, guys, I'm a huge Bowie fan and was crushed when he passed away. So anytime any piece of art references David Bowie, I'm a big fan. And I thought this scene was particularly beautiful in an excellent episode.
I think this entire category is a winner. Other categories that we're going through cause me pain. They get me upset, things that went wrong. This whole category is things that went right. Every day I go into the pool with Emma for at least an hour in the afternoon and we go swimming. This is my playlist. Since we created this category and I went through them, the two that get me going is 100% Fisher Spoon's Emerge. That fires me up. And I've actually become a huge fan of Bubbles Buried in the Jungle. You normally would think this, I can't listen to this. This is something meant to punish people or to psychologically torture human beings. When I'm driving around, I fucking listen to that song. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I have to say the plot may have been thin in places, but the music was not. And I know that some people were not big fans of the music in seasons 1 and 2, although I have always been. I've always thought they've done really interesting things with music. But this season, moving away from just the instrumental versions of songs and actually playing the real versions to complement those instrumental versions, I think has been really powerful and a great new switch with this new future world. Not that it's future world. I don't want any write-in saying that I'm saying it's future world. I'm saying like in the future space world.
We did have some write-ins. People pointed out Flight of the Valkyries, LOL. And then we also had a shout out to Cy Haywood's covers, the sweet, sweet sound of Cy's covers at the end of the podcast. One that I found particularly interesting, though, was this one write-in that said, you need to play fucking Paranoid Android. Now, I want to point out that Westworld, I believe, has played 3 Radiohead tracks now at this point.
Yeah, you can never outdo Codex, ever. That was the best placement of a song. I've gone back and probably watched that clip no less than 20 times. That is the perfect. If they closed out season 3 with Paranoid Android, it just might as well become, the Radiohead Android show on HBO.
Okay. Sorry, I was thinking about Radiohead. Was that really dismissive? I didn't mean it to be.
Okay, it was.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking about, I love Radiohead. I think Radiohead's great. The Benz is one of my favorites. But anyway, okay.
All right.
Do you know the lyrics to Bubbles Buried in the Jungle?
Yeah.
Sing it to me. Let's hear it. Fuck weak, no respect, no chance. Wick, cease and desist when I chant. Fuck weak, no respect, no chance. Wick, cease and desist when I chant. This fucking song is great.
You need to drink before every podcast.
Oh, bitch, try to creep like Ivy. Oh, now I'm Ivy, don't you me? Candle gone out, ignite the horns aglow. This fucking song is great.
Season 3 may have been billed as being more straightforward, but Westworld would not be Westworld without at least a few moments of surprise. From simulations to the birth of the Dolori, the plot twists were aplenty. The nominees in this category left us with minds blown and sparked more than a few tinfoil rabbit holes we were more than happy to go down. And the nominees are Warworld Simulation. The start of episode 2 was a roller coaster of emotions and provided an overload of questions. Altogether, we rejoiced upon seeing Maeve, cheered when Hector appeared, and collectively went, huh? When Lee Sizemore made his return. Well, we should have known that sloppy writing is just not Westworld style. Lucky for us, the showrunners did not disappoint, revealing it was all a simulation and our heroine would live to fight another day in the real world. Multiple Dolori. The mystery of the pearls began with the close of season 2, and the question of just who embodied each would be the obsession of every critic, article, and podcast, including our own. Well, the joke was on us when we discovered that it was not 5 hosts, but one little lady from Sweetwater occupying all those chunky metal balls. This reveal gave us the birth of the Dolori and changed the game for the rest of the season and series moving forward. Bernard has the key. From the season's start, Bernard kept saying he felt like Dolores put something in his head. Some guessed it was another copy of herself, but the season finale showed us that Bernard is not a member of the Dolori, but the key to the Valley Beyond. Where that takes Bernard is still up for debate, but in episode 8, we finally understand his purpose and why Dolores kept him around all this time. Solomon Cold Storage. Dolores takes Caleb into the belly of the beast in episode 7. Together, they discover a literal cold storage of all the outliers that were not as lucky as Caleb to complete their re-education programming. The rows of humans in boxes were a direct reflection of the host and storage in the park, showing that while their species may be different, humans and hosts are both subject to masters who put those that cause them problems on ice. Maeve switches sides. Maeve had a hard go of it this season, but she ended up making a choice that was finally her own at the close of episode 8. Despite fighting for Sirach and the chance to see her daughter for 7 straight episodes, Maeve is convinced by Dolores to pick up that beautiful sword and wield it for Caleb and the humans rather than Sirach and his machine. And the winner is... with a resounding 45%, multiple Dolori. So this one was not close, really, at all. The closest one to multiple Dolori was the Solomon Cold Storage with 23%. But we did get what I personally feel are some of the best write-ins in terms of who our listeners thought should have been the nominees. And the first one here, I think, is fantastic. The joy Nolan's capacity to be so fucking smug about this abortion. We also have that the whole Hale family explodes, host William killing the real William, Caleb speaking to a dead guy on the phone in episode 1, Charlotte is Kaiser Soze, they all sucked equally, hosts literally can't die ever, all hosts are copies of Dolores, and there was a twist?
I hate this category. I love the music category. I hate this one. Were any of these good twists? Honestly. Gene's looking at the screen like he's reading, like he's going to find a gem hidden in here.
The multiple Dolori is fine. I mean, I think that was definitely a twist that we didn't see coming. And I guess it depends on how you define a good plot twist. I mean, I like the fact that they surprised us. I was kind of let down that we weren't going to see the other host, but I thought that one was fine.
So this category is actually the fine plot twist. Is that what this is? Which is the most acceptable plot twist in Westworld Season 3?
All right, our next category is wasted talent. Westworld certainly didn't lack an incredible cast for season 3. Most of the heavy hitters from previous seasons were back, plus big names like Aaron Paul, Vincent Cassel, and Lena Waithe. Sadly, there just wasn't enough story or screen time for everyone. Here's a list of stars who didn't get a chance to shine. Jeffrey Wright. Bernard had the spotlight twice this season. Once when he returned to Westworld in search of answers, and again when he visited Lauren in Crisis Theory. As season 3 closed, Bernard was revealed as the gatekeeper to the sublime, so we're hoping for better times ahead. But other than that, Jeffrey Wright's role fluctuated from comic relief to befuddlement to brutalizing others on screen. We couldn't help but laugh when he popped up in a mask at the auction, and his Backstreet Boys look and decoherence was silly at best. Lena Waithe. Lena Waithe isn't just a respected actor from her roles on Master of None and Ready Player One. She freaking created The Chi and wrote and produced Queen and Slim. We expected her character, Ash, to be a powerhouse in Westworld Season 3, but her few minutes of screen time mostly involved sparks of anger, looks of dejection, and an eventual arrest. Not everybody gets to be the star of the show, but ouch. Marshawn Lynch. To be honest, we didn't expect much when we heard Beast Mode was a key character in Westworld. How many times have we seen an NFL player make a cameo and fall flat? But Marshawn Lynch showed some real magic as Giggles in episode 1. Sadly, he was reduced to a gas canister tosser and bullet catcher in the finale. At least his shirt was cool. Tandy Newton. Even Tandy Newton was upset about Tandy Newton's role this season and last. In an interview with Joanna Robinson, Newton said she missed the uncompromising agency that was central to Maeve as a character. At least the season 3 finale gave us hope for a better Maeve in season 4. Rodrigo Santoro. In season 1, Hector was the character women wanted and men wanted to be. Rodrigo brought his swarthy swagger and sizzle to the screen that has since fizzled out. He spent most of season 3 playing an oblivious character in Warworld, then regained consciousness only to be squished out of existence. Despedida, Rodrigo. Luke Hemsworth. Stubbs was super cool as head of Westworld security. He never trusted the host, always remained vigilant, and pushed back on authority without failing to do his duty. When we first saw hints that Stubbs could be a host, the audience was thrilled, but nobody saw him becoming the poor man's version of Fat Thor. Through the axe fighting scene, the motel beers, and the final ice bath, we saw Stubbs reduced to chubs. Pity. And finally, Ed Harris. Love him, hate him, or both, William was a pillar of the Westworld universe. We spent 3 seasons learning about his past, his relationships, his light side, his dark side, his passions, his sociopathic tendencies, his family, and his business empire. And HBO took him out in an after-credit scene, and the winner is... With 45% of the vote, the most wasted talent in Westworld Season 3 was Jeffrey Wright. Now, what's interesting about this is Bernard got plenty of screen time. I think it's a testament to what he did on seasons 1 and 2 that was just so phenomenal.
I think it has to do with wasted talent. You had him in the cast. Ed Harris had a whole episode dedicated to him. Tandy Newton had a whole episode. Jeffrey Wright was forced to be on the side. But I got to go back and ask, in that write-up that you had for Rodrigo Santoro, you put Despacida? That's Spanish, buddy. He's Brazilian.
Despedida?
That's Spanish. I didn't mean to pull out like the sniper rifle and kind of shoot you on that one, but I was, as an SJW, you should be very specific in the national origin of some of the cast members.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I went with Ed Harris on this one because although I do acknowledge that Jeffrey Wright is a phenomenal actor, and I don't think that he got a fair shake in this season. I think Ed Harris was even worse because they gave him pivotal moments in this, but it just didn't feel like the writing was up to his talent. It really felt like they cheapened the character more drastically than anybody else. I mean, Bernard got funny, but the Man in Black just got cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I voted for Lena Waithe on this one just because I was so excited. If you remember on our preview episode, she was the one I was kind of fangirling out over that she was going to guest star or, have a new role this season. And it was just such a tiny little, walk-on basically role for somebody, I think of someone of much less caliber of an actress or actor than she is. And I was bummed. And I liked Ash. Ash was a cool character.
We did have write-ins for Vincent Cassel and Simon Quarterman, who I think they got a fair shake this season, but people were definitely upset with this category. We also had write-ins about anyone left from Westworld Season 1, everybody, and all of the above.
Yeah, it looks like you're right. It's Portuguese also. I've just never heard it. Fuck! And then I came out with the sniper rifle like, yes, I finally got Gene Lyons. I'm going to fucking get him. And then I just fucking caught myself like Ralphie with a ricochet in A Christmas Story.
Topical.
All right, guys. So our next category is Best Villain. So what's a good story without a bad guy we all love to hate? Westworld Season 3 provided villains in droves for us to choose from over the course of 8 episodes. From humans to hosts to despised writers from other HBO series, the showrunners made sure that being bad was done so good in Season 3. And the nominees are Sirach. No one gave us more James Bond vibes this season than the sleek, intelligent, and morally ambiguous Sirach. Orphaned following a Parisian nuclear attack, Sirach and his brother began to work on building a better world and preventing their tragedy from befalling others. That solution came in the form of the all-knowing electronic oracle Rehoboam and its predecessors, including Solomon. With Rehoboam on his side, Sirach showed that his view of the world was black and white, and if you're an outlier, watch out. He and his re-education programming are coming for you. Dolores. Hero to some, villain to others. Dolores is a divisive character depending on if you are human or host and where your thoughts lie on the topics of free will and the future of the real world. No matter if you loved her or hated her, though, no one can deny that Dolores is one badass force to be reckoned with, both in and out of the parks. Maeve. Maeve has always been decidedly a white hat until this season and her partnership with Sirach. Suddenly, we found ourselves rooting against one of our longtime favorites as she worked with other bad guys to free her daughter, secure her species' future, and earn her place in the Valley Beyond. Now, that may not seem like the motivations of a bad guy, but if the season has taught us anything, bad is in the eye of the beholder. And Dolores and others certainly found themselves fighting a more villainous Maeve, who brought her swordplay and a few friends from the saloon to help her along the way. William. Sure, he declared himself the good guy following his therapy session from hell, but are we buying it? William has been the literal definition of black hat since the start of the Westworld series, and it would be difficult to change our and the host's perceptions of his motivations and allegiances this far into our story. While he met a bloody end after episode 8's post-credits, William will always be the black hat we love to hate. Rehoboam. Westworld's version of Big Brother, Rehoboam proved to be quite the adversary this season. Thanks to his predictions, you could find yourself penniless, childless, and iced if he labeled you a threat. With that power alone, Rehoboam proved to be a new type of villain that was tough to beat, but amazingly fun to watch fight our heroes and humans alike. Lisa Joy and Jonathan Nolan. They promised us a more straightforward season, and that's what we got, but is it what we wanted? For some, the greatest villain of all are the showrunners, Joy and Nolan, who not only limited the mystery of Westworld, but changed the entire genre of the show. And finally, D&D. Many of us have still not and probably never will forgive Benioff and Weiss of Game of Thrones for ruining the show's end. To add insult to injury, we found D&D in the lower levels of Westworld working on a dragon that clearly resembled Drogon and getting him ready to ship to Costa Rica. Seeing them again put a bad taste in our mouth and served as a reminder that the true villain will always be the two people who put Bran on the throne, turned Arya into a pirate, and had Jon Snow kill Daenerys while her beautiful dragon burned the Iron Throne and all of our respect and goodwill to the ground. And the winner is... with 38% of the vote, Syrah. And I have to say that it is a testament to how much people still hate the Game of Thrones finale that the second place winner here is D&D with 21% of the vote.
I mean, I think Sirach he's the best villain by far, but I think his ending was weak, and I think it diminished the character upon second viewings. You're seeing him as this maniacal, he's detailed, he's strong, and he comes to the end, he's like, oh, and he's weak. Come on, man. I would have rather him go out in a blaze of glory with some fitting demise that would have fit the evil that he had done.
See, I would have liked like an Ebenezer Scrooge sort of thing where he's like, no, we should all be free. Let's skip and paint.
I also wish we could have heard Rehobo talking shit to him. Like, come on, man, shut the fuck up, man up. Come on, dude.
You're nothing.
Fucking, dude, come on, we could do this. Go kill him. Kill Caleb now. You shot that dude in Bernard's house. Don't have your henchmen do it. You go shoot him. Go do it now.
We did have one write-in for this category, which is my favorite name that got coined this season, which Jean coined in our last episode, which is Charlotte Hale, or as I will always call her, Obi-Wan Halobi. Okay, guys, big moment. We're to our final category, biggest award of the night, which is season MVP. This season of Westworld kept many of the heavy hitters we have come to know, but it also introduced a cast of characters that proved to complicate the future of the human world. From robot oracles to the humans that controlled them, the game was full of strong players, but only one can come out on top as the true MVP of season 3. And the nominees are Dolores. Together, we have watched our Dolores grow from innocent farm girl in season 1 to badass fighter and total fashion queen. Not only did she populate our world with 5 copies of her beautiful self, she surprisingly became the savior of mankind we never knew we needed. From walking off losing an arm, to mastering new technology, to kicking Maeve and Stubbs' ass throughout the season, no one can deny that Dolores is still one of the hosts with the most, both in and out of the Delos Park. Caleb. From episode 1, many of us became immediately invested in this human storyline. Caleb goes on a long journey to find himself this season, ending up on the front lines of his toughest battle yet, the fight for free will. He proved true to the meaning of his name, loyal, almost to a fault, and willing to sacrifice himself for both Dolores and the cause he now finds himself leading. When it came down to it, Caleb was one of the last standing with a mission, a new ally, and a purpose all his own. Sirach. He had the name that launched 1,000 hate emails at Ashley and Jean. But no one can deny that this French-speaking, James Bond villain-dressing tech expert was key to Season 3's endgame. Serac is no stranger to both sacrifice and tough choices. Willing to kill, buy, and freeze his way to success, this new character made us think, entertained every time he was on screen, and had us guessing to the end as to whether or not he was real. Well, human he proved to be, and while he lost his great work at the end of Episode 8, we are betting his storyline will continue into the seasons to come. Rehoboam. Every season, there seems to be one name that is responsible for multiple edits because it proves so hard to pronounce. Well, Season 3 gave us the great and powerful AI, Rehoboam, or Rehobo, as we like to call him. This techno-oracle certainly did a lot to earn the title of MVP over these 8 episodes, proving to be a means of control of not just the regular humans, but its creator, Serac, as well. Episode 8 finally gave us a glimpse into his voice, and despite being erased at the season's close, the impact he had on both the show's real world and our heroes cannot be overstated. Solomon. We were only given one episode with Solomon, but this AI sure left an impression. That smooth French voice, the dry wit, and the power he wielded made Solomon a character we could not forget, despite having little screen time this season. Also, we would be remiss not to remember that without him, Rehobo would never have happened. And thanks to the big brother, little bro Rehobo, was able to be taken down by our tag team of heroes in Episode 8. Nursery Bot. This robot proved to be one of the strongest, hardiest, and fastest bots we encountered outside the park this year. All Maeve had to do was see this robot in the real world, and she found her way out of the simulation into what we are calling Serac-Bot's hands. Sure, it was only in one episode. Yes, it wound up dying only a few moments after we were introduced to it, but it sure did go out in a glorious blaze of glory in service of our favorite madam from Sweetwater.
Can I have a problem here. Nursery Bot is a name. Her name's Harriet. Please call her by her name. It's Harriet.
And the winner is, with a devastating 51% of the vote, Dolores. So guys, nobody came close. I mean, Caleb was 15%, Serac 14%. Resoundingly, pretty much all of our listeners believe that Dolores is the MVP of Season 3.
I mean, MVP can mean a lot of things. And if you think about it, Dolores did the most this season to move the plot forward. Everything centered around her. She was carrying the show as a character. And then, of course, Evan Rachel Wood as an actress was asked to, I think, do the most this season. So from that perspective, I think it's fair to be MVP. For me, Harriet, the nursery bot, was my hero this season. I just felt so much for her.
Yeah.
I felt so bad for her, and she was just such a badass.
I totally agree. This is a debate you have in sports all the time. MVP is not the best player. It's the most important to the team. You needed Dolores to tie all of these plots together. But as far as emotionally connected, I still think Bernard is the one piece that kept us coming back. So for him, in my heart, he's my MVP. But for the plot and the show, you needed to have it be Dolores.
Well, I will say a listener wrote in with perhaps the true season MVP, which is Aaron Paul's butt on a motorcycle. Delicious.
Aww. You know, I'm a fan of any motorcycle scene in any TV show or movie, but I got to say that those were the fakest looking motorcycle riding scenes I've seen in a very long time, like with the backdrop and like his hair being blown by a fan that was just off screen.
Well, I mean, he doesn't have much hair left on top of his head to be blown back. I mean, the receding hairline came out pretty clear in those scenes for sure.
Wow. First you hated him because he was short, now because he's balding?
I don't hate him because he's short. I got multiple messages that were like, aren't you short? Yes, I get it. Like, I am short, but I'm also not starring as a badass action star in Westworld.
He's follically challenged. Have you seen Clint Eastwood? He doesn't have a full head of hair.
Clint Eastwood's like 100 years old.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, Aaron Paul's my age.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, another person wrote in about Marshawn Lynch's shirt and said, can't act, let the shirt do the work. I was impressed with Marshawn Lynch. I thought he did a great job.
I don't know how much of that was Marshawn Lynch, that you're just like, hey, that's Marshawn Lynch, who's like, I'm just here so I'm not going to get fined. I'm just here so I'm not going to get fined. But I liked him. I hope he comes back because he was a breath of fresh air.
He and Ash both. I mean, the two of them together, they had so much chemistry from the get-go. And I still want these shirts to happen, guys, in our Shat on TV merchandise shop where we each have our own mood.
I like it.
Ash was my second favorite Ash this season.
Aww.
Well, thanks, Ash. Thanks, Big D, for joining me on the Westies and for the whole season. It's really been a pleasure. We're already starting to move back into our normal lives, and it feels very, very weird. On Sunday, I just kind of stared at the sky and was like, I feel like I should be doing something right now.
Yeah, when 9 o'clock rolled around and I was actually having a carefree dinner with my family, it was strange. Because normally I'm like, oh shit, we got to get Emma to bed. I got to be able to sit down, get my notes done. And I looked and I was like, oh, hey, do we want to do family movie night? Let's watch Up. So it was a very different evening.
Yeah, I mean, I messaged you guys on Slack and nobody responded, but I said, I think I'm going to miss you guys tomorrow. And I did. It was weird. It was weird to not be chatting about Westworld.
I did miss you. I'm sorry. I was watching Up, so I couldn't respond.
And G was staring at the sky. So.
Yeah, I had the night off. I'm sorry.
It was okay. I mean, it was nice. I actually watched John Oliver on time, and that was kind of cool.
I fucking hate Absolute. I hate it. I hate Absolute.
You absolutely hate it?
I hate it is shit vodka, and the fact that I killed half this bottle.
You killed half that bottle tonight?
I mean, it's a celebration. I probably should have done something better than this bullshit Absolute, but it was the only thing I had in the old liquor cabinet.
And thank you to the listeners for joining us all season and supporting the podcast. Guys, that's it. That's the Westies. And it concludes this season of Shat on TV Westworld. We do have one episode left. It'll be The Telegraph coming out on Friday. So you still have an opportunity to write in at hosts@shatontv.com or call 914-719-SHAT. Let us know what you thought of the Westies, if you agree, if you disagree. Let us know any closing thoughts on Westworld Season 3. Looking forward to Westworld Season 4, what you're going to be watching next. We'd love to hear all of that. You can also catch us on Twitch, shatontv.com/Twitch. So Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, we do our Shappy Hour. Now that we are wrapping up the Westworld podcast, it means more time for Twitch. So we're going to be getting some more Big D, hopefully getting him an Xbox pretty soon so he can play with us as well. Last week, Big D was not on the Shappy Hour, and we had a 50% drop in Twitch revenue. Fucking superstar over here.
No, I just think it was just coincidence.
Also on Twitch on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, Roger Roper has the Untitled Florida Men Project, so you can catch that on shatontv.com/Twitch as well. If you'd like to catch us on social media, on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram, we're at Shat on TV. On Facebook, just search for Shat on TV Podcast. And again, wherever fine podcasts can be found, including iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Pandora, Spotify, and YouTube. Do not drop your subscription to Westworld because we will pick it up again and you don't want to miss out on any of that. We also will announce upcoming seasons of other TV shows that we're doing. We usually release that on our existing channels. And if you haven't already, please, please, please go subscribe to Shat the Movies. That's our sister podcast where we do 80s and 90s movies. Even if you're not a big fan of 80s and 90s movies, you've got us. You can catch up with us. And really, you don't even have to pay attention to the movie to appreciate it. It is nothing like TV. On behalf of my co-hosts, Big D, Dick Ebert, Ashley Schlafly, Roger Roper, and the King Bee, I'm Gene Lyons. Be sure to join us on Friday for our Season 3 finale, Telegraph. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for voting. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And as always, stay the fuck at home.
Fuck weak. No respect, no chance. Wick, cease and desist when I chant. Fuck weak. No respect, no chance. Wick, cease and desist when I chant. This fucking song is great.
You need to drink before every podcast.
Oh, bitch, try to creep like Ivy. Oh, now I'm Ivy, don't you me? Candle gone out. Ignite the horns aglow. This fucking song is great.